Okay, I'm going to see if I can make this short because the last couple of times I've tried to do this, I started getting pissed off because of what this represents. Look, I got no problem with the road going to World's End. No problem. I got no problem with the tournament. I'm glad to see they're doing a tournament. I don't even have a problem they want to make a Triple Crown champion. But here's the thing. They're trying to state, and I'm saying this now, I'm not going to wait until the end of this review. I'm not doing that because I am going to talk about what's here, and I probably will miss something like I normally do. But I got to say this now. I don't know if just Alex is going to say it. I don't know if JD's going to say it, or Jesse's going to say it, or Solid Monster. I don't know. But seeing that Tony Khan wants to say that ROH is a company, because remember what this is all about, creating a Triple Crown champion, because Eddie Kingston's titles are going to be possibly going away. Because they want to make the New Japan Pro Strong champion and the ROH champion as a Triple Crown champion. So it would go between AEW and ROH. I'm angry about that. I'm not going to lie about that. I'm angry. I'm glad to see their tournament, and I'm glad to see them work in New Japan Pro Wrestling. But why couldn't they work with another company? Why couldn't they work with AAA? Why couldn't they work with MLW? Hell, right now the controversy with NWA and with Billy Corgan, they need some help. I haven't even checked thoroughly how messed up they are. I'm telling you right now, I thought about doing the Gump report on Billy Corgan and what he did because of the cocaine stunt that was done at Shanheim or Swanhang. I can't remember the name of it. I did the review of it, but I could never even pronounce the name of it. But now there's a good chance they've lost their TV deal with CW and NXT's got it. Why didn't Tony Khan bring in a third company? If they're going to do something like that, it would have been better to do that. TNA is rebranding. You couldn't go with them. NWA, I know there's a question, like I said. You couldn't go with them. MLW, you couldn't go with them. What's the deal here? I find it stupid. Hell, Wrestling Revolver, and we already know there's a strong chance Sami Callihan is going to come to AEW. Why couldn't you do it with him? He owns the damn company. He produces it. It's his own school. Hell, I wouldn't even mind Booker T's show. Well, actually, I should, because they never have good camera. Period. But you get my point. Saying that ROH is a company, that pisses me off. It's a brand of AEW. Triple Crown Champion is bullshit. But let's move on. Now we're done. I had to do that rant. I'm sorry. It's just me. I'd rather have a real third company instead of one company that has an extension and saying it's a company than this. It's just bullshit. Let's open with the first Continental Championship. Well, we know that this is a tournament-based system where it's going to be 3 points for the win, 1 point for each of them or one of them if there's some type of draw or there's a DQ or something. That's the way it works. And there's a full point system. No problem. We got, Swerve Strickland and Jay Lethal. Good match. And since Swerve is over, look, I still believe that when it comes to selling, he's not that good. Either because he doesn't always want to sell, or he has an issue of being able to sell properly. I will take nothing from him. He busted his ass and earned his spot now in AEW. Going to the World Champion or the TNT Championship, I got no problem with it. Flat out, period. No problem. Seeing this match, I felt, honestly, I love Jay. Honestly, I love Jay Lethal. I wish he would go back to TNA. Because honestly, he's not really doing much in AEW. Yeah, his crew is there, but I wouldn't mind seeing him go back. But the point is, I love Jay. But there's no way he was going to win over Swerve. He had to lose. And that match was good. And I won't say Swerve didn't sell most of Jay's work. He did. But I'm always going to see something where sometimes he just doesn't sell very well or he doesn't want to sell. Here, he did a good job, and it looked like he generally did his job properly. And he won. I'm not surprised. Next, we got a 6-man. I don't know what was the point of having all 3 champions. You know how many championships we got between ROH and AEW? 15 soon. Not 14. Soon to be 15. Here. I wrote it here. This is what we got in AEW. This is what we got so far. AEW, TT title, World title, the FTW title, the Trios title, the TBS title, and the Women's Championship. ROH, we got the World Championship, the Television Championship. I don't know if it's been retired. It may still be around. The 6-man championship, the Pure Championship, the Women's Championship, and the Tag Champion. That's 14 freaking titles. Now soon to be 15. Well, actually, it's going to be 16 because you are kind of including the New Japan Pro Strong Championship that pretty much when the Continental Championship is being defended on AEW TV. That's probably going to be added into it because as a Triple Crown champion will have 3 titles. That might be up for grabs as well. Oh, so many damn titles. But seeing the become the International Champion, the Pure Champion, and the FTW Champion all coming out dealing with not only Hager, dealing with Cool Hands Parker and Daddy Magic. Did you actually think they're going to lose? And then we get Danhausen back. Danhauser. Now, let's get this clear. I know there's a lot of people who just don't like him, and other people love him. Me personally, I know you have to have comedic relief in wrestling. If you, and I'm saying this to anyone who's watching this, where you're going to say, what are you talking about? Listen to me. In wrestling from the very beginning, when they first were doing it in the carnies and the carnivals, they always had real pure wrestlers, and then they had the comedic relief. They had to have someone play around as a wrestler. Gorgeous George was someone that was sometimes would joke around. The Nature Boy, I forgot his name. Ric Flair took his, I think, I forgot his name. It's been so many years, I forgot. You're going to tell me who it is, but I forgot. But essentially, everyone grabs something from somebody. And comedic wrestling has been there for over 60 to 70 years. If you don't like Danhausen, there's no problem. But saying he shouldn't be there is stupid. He's doing his job. He's a comedic wrestler like with Johnny Swinger in Impact Wrestling. Like when it comes to Dirty Dango or when it comes to Alpha Bravo. There's always comedic wrestlers. They must be there. You can't just have straight stories and straight wrestling. What's amateur wrestling then? Not much different. You just take out the stories. You got the same thing except it's predetermined who wins. In the end, you know who won. I'm not surprised. But we really need to do something. We need to do something. Now, mind you, seeing before the match happened that Wheeler Yuta approached Hook, approached Orange, who had something to say but didn't get a chance to say it. And when it comes to Shibata, he's going to be messing one of those two. I think he's going to be going after Shibata eventually. But he's going to have a match on ROH TV. But do I care? No, I don't even see ROH TV. But I do care about Shibata. He is a very interesting person. Even though he doesn't speak English, doesn't mean he can't really get over. I'm just saying. Next, let's move on to the next Golden League match, which wasn't a bad match, but wasn't really a great one. Rush versus Jay White. Let's make this clear. I think, I don't know what it was. It was like they were trying really hard to sell this match. And they probably told Rush in Spanish, beat the living hell out of Jay White even more than you should. Because he's got to win. And that's what they did. Jay White lost to MJF, but he progresses in the tournament. He gets 3 points. Do I believe that it worked for me? No. I mean, it was almost like they were in a feud, like they were hating one another, having a fight between each other. But it didn't feel like it. I think it's due to the fact there was no real build into it. Look, you can have a build into a tournament. You can have ahead of time, Roosh finding out he's going to go against Jay White. They did this so quickly, there was no time to really build into it. Does not mean this tournament's going to suck. I'm enjoying the tournament. The matches are good. It's just that the way Roosh acted was like he already had a grudge against Jay White. And that's the problem. Because it looked like he already had a grudge against Jay White, the way he was fighting him in that match was just like they were having heavy animosity. And it felt like they needed a couple of weeks ahead of time, or nearly 3 weeks, to really build into this match, or 2 weeks for that matter. There wasn't even any time. Jay White was dealing with MJF. There was no time with Roosh, and it just feels like it needed it. Doesn't mean it was a bad match, but seeing Jay White win, didn't care. It felt like it needed more. Now, here's where this match really is like, really? You're going to do this? That's the reason for this match? Look, this pisses me off even more. This pisses me off. The Shida match with, supposedly, with this is the thing that surprises me. When I heard JD talk about it, saying that that match was trash. The match was not bad when it came to Timeless Tony Storm versus Shida. It didn't have a very good story. But the match wasn't trash. But now what? I mean, with Timeless Tony Storm, I mean, she looks great. I'll talk about what happened with her accepting a title. But they've said nothing really when it came to Statlander, Sky Blue, and to Julia Hart, other than they knew she had to win. That match felt blank when it came to Statlander. And now we got Julia Hart as a champion. Why wasn't this match set up to be a number one contendership for either Sky Blue, Ruby Soho, and a Anna Jay against Tony Storm, or Julia Hart? It was just a triple threat for no reason other to try and build up the story between Cool Hands Parker and Ruby Soho? Is that what this is about? Did we just have a triple threat over this? Did we just have a freaking triple threat to build up a story between Ruby Soho and Cool Hands Parker? Really? I wouldn't mind that happening if there was a stake involved. Unless there was one. You guys tell me below, where's there a stake involved where there was going to be a number one contendership against Julia Hart or Timeless Tony Storm? Because as far as I know, there isn't one. There's no number one contendership. This was just a straight triple threat for no freaking reason for three women who deserved. Ruby Soho should be more important. Doing something with Parker's fine. I'm happy with that. Seeing that maybe Sky Blue's going to be trying to go after Tony Storm's title because of what happened in her segment when she bumped into her just to go and do, well, not bump into her, just walk by her and ruined her moment. I can understand that. But what about Anna Jay? She's not doing anything, and supposedly her boys is an issue because Hager's having an issue when it comes to Parker, who seemed to be smitten with Ruby Soho, which I have no problem with it. But couldn't you include something extra to make it important? Particularly Saraya was out there, and she's trying to make sure that Ruby does not let her horny area lose control. It felt like a wasted match because it was. Let's move on. Let's go now to what we got when it came to MJF, Joe, and Cole. Was it a good segment? Yes. Not a problem. Not a bad segment. It wasn't perfect. Let's make it clear. Chicago crowd wasn't really usually into it. As far as I can tell, the Chicago crowd was mostly into the show, but not heavily into this show. The sound should be way up here. And it was like here. And when this segment happened, you can even hear them. It's freaking Chicago. And you can hear during the parts when MJF and Cole came out, and it kind of made me feel at least a little better because Adam Cole's got an injury. MJF legitimately maybe actually hurt his hip when he did that, his elbow onto the... What possessed MJF to do a flying elbow when there was no table to protect himself? He literally went 15 feet into the air, landed on Jay White on his left hip. And as a guy who has a hip problem, I'm hoping he'll be all right. He came out with a cane, a nice gold handle cane. The way he spoke was fine. He wanted to make it clear that he is the best. He is the best longest reigning champion. He's the best world champion. He is one of the most hottest soon to be free agent. Supposing there is a quiet possible re-signing with AEW. We don't know yet. Possibly. But the point is, he sold it well, but there was hardly a huge amount of people cheering. And that did not bode well for me. That was not good. Now, did Adam Cole Adam Cole didn't do a lot here until Samoa Joe came out and made it very clear. I helped you. I'm glad you won. You won both championships. I helped you with one of them. But now I'm here and I am respectfully wanting to fulfill our deal. And what do we get from MJF? He says, suck it, pretty much. Suck my dick. And pretty much that's what he said. Pound sand, suck my dick. And Joe was about to choke him out when Adam Cole said, Joe, stop. Let me talk to him. And he did. And when it comes down to it, Adam Cole made that segment for me personally. But to be honest, knowing full well how the crowd just didn't sound like they were into it, unless the audio was bad, which Tony Khan is not like WWE where they pump in a huge amount of pops. Because remember, WWE will still pump in pops when they believe they need it. Or like what's going on with Dominic, and they will make the boos sound much louder by cranking up the audio when they want to. Tony doesn't do that. So they did not sound that loud. But when you hear that Adam is saying, look, these people are cheering for you. They don't cheer for you because you're one of the greatest wrestlers. They're not cheering for you because you're one of the greatest champion. They cheer for you because you follow through with... How can I say this? The reason I'm botching here is that knowing full well that we still don't know who the devil is. The guy in the devil's mask, where he clearly is messing with MJF, and he made it clear before Joe came out, I'm coming for you and I'm going to make you go through real hell. Yes, people believe it's Adam Cole, and I mostly agree. This could be easier work. I mean, not total work, because he did hurt his leg. He hurt his ankle, so he did have surgery, but we don't know how bad the surgery is. This could be a most work shoot type of situation where he got hurt, but he wasn't so badly hurt that he can't do the segment and the story to go with the story of MJF and his rise as not a face, but nearing betweener. Now, at World's End, we're going to have the title match. And Joe saying that he's his bitch. And you don't need to worry about the devil and whoever works with him, because as my bitch, my property, because he's calling him his property, but he's saying his bitch. But legitimately, he will be his bitch. That's what I'm saying. That he's his property until he turns him into his bitch when it's World's End. But he made it very clear that the devil will not be an issue, because I will be one step behind you and protect you, because I want you 100%. Because MJF made it clear, I am going to do this now. And Joe said no. I know I'm jumping around, but you know what? It's better to do it like this, because that's what I feel like it needs. At least in my review, if that makes any sense. Let's see here. The Christian segment. This is a story that I'm interested in seeing, because we know what it's coming down to. It's coming down to that TNT title between Christian and Adam. Because when you saw Christian Luchasaurus, who now he's been turned to Kill Switch, and Nick Gage, the Prodigy, this was a good segment. Do I believe that it got over? Hell yeah, it did by the time Adam Copeland came out. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's make it clear. Christian Cage didn't lose. Nick Wayne didn't lose. I think I said Nick Gage to Nick Wayne. I don't know why I do that. I always get Nick Gage and Wayne's name mixed up. I'm sorry. And Luchasaurus lost. So he demanded Luchasaurus to get down on one knee. And he said, we're going to correct this problem. You're not Luchasaurus anymore. You are Kill Switch. That's his old move that he used to use in the WWE. No problem. Then he didn't like it that much when he had to get down one knee. Then hearing that the Prodigy is being loved more than Luchasaurus, Luchasaurus didn't like it either. Then Nick's mom comes out, the beautiful woman, comes out trying to beg her son to come home. And pretty much being belittled by Christian, saying clearly, who the hell are you? Get out of my damn ring. You can't even make enough money to take care of this kid. This kid's a prodigy. You only make $40,000 a year as a waitress. You ain't nothing. I'm a better father than he will ever have. And your husband, I'm glad he's dead because he was never a great father anyway. Even your own son, Nick, knows they was never even compared to me. And that is when Kill Switch Luchasaurus gets in front of Nick's mom when she was demanding to get out of the ring. And he's being told, get out of the way, go back to your place. And he's pretty much going, no. And in the end, not only did he get shoved back by Christian Cage and knocks Nick's mom down onto the floor of the mat, he got Nick Wayne to go outside the ring, get 2 chairs to do a concerto on his mom. That is when Adam comes out. And that is when, instead of here's the thing. If Luchasaurus had turned, then the story would be just Luchasaurus by the side of Nick's mom and not by the side of Adam Copeland, because Adam does not care about Luchasaurus. That, I think, would have been a better thing. But it wasn't going there. What did we get? Nick Wayne getting whipped and then getting concerto, even though Christian Cage says, don't do that to my son. And his mom says, please don't. Whack to the head. He's done. So now we have Luchasaurus. My guess is they have to use Luchasaurus until they reach World's End. Then Luchasaurus will be taken out and it'll only be Christian and Adam. That's what I think is going to happen here. That's what I think is happening. That in the next couple of weeks, when is World's End? I can't remember when. I think it's another couple of weeks away, easily. So I'm guessing next week or the week after, Luchasaurus is going to be eliminated, and it's just going to be Adam and Chris for the TNT Championship. Last, the match of the night for me. I know it's not one of the greatest matches these guys have put on, but for me personally, I liked it because you had Moxley versus knowing that Mark and Moxley are very similar in their way of their wrestling was interesting. It reminded me of Nick Gage. I think that's one of the reasons why I was thinking about it, from GCW going up against Mox in that death match they had. You kind of see the similarities that this is what you got with Nick Gage and with, I think if it wasn't Moxley, I think it might have been Matt Cardona. My mistake. It's kind of hard to remember. It's been many, many years since I saw that match. But essentially, that's what it felt like with those two. And I think if they didn't have the tournament, you can actually do a series of matches with you guys, seeing who's the most hardcore. Is it going to be Mark Briscoe or Moxley? I think that would work. I think that could be one of the most interesting things. But I didn't expect Moxley to lose here. I didn't think so. It does not mean that they're finished. because sooner or later they're going to match each other again, because the tournament is going to be covering maybe 5 times. Everyone's going to wrestle at least 5 times each person. At least that until we get to World's End. So the 3 points is gone to Moxley. 3 points has gone to Swerve Strickland. And 3 points went to Jay White. They're the first 3 in the gold league. Now we're going to have the blue league next. And I want to see what's going to happen to Eddie Kingston. That's my boy. I know that wouldn't be the most greatest thing to see him be Triple Crown champion. But as this point is, I'm being honest here. They need someone on Collision. I truly believe that if he doesn't lose himself, that person could be Eddie Kingston. But that's just me. Peace.